let's talk about inflation. It's sort of this nebulous term that's been thrown around over the past year, and I don't think a lot of people really have a strong grasp on exactly what it is. So we turned to our elected leaders yesterday in Washington to really get a strong understanding of what inflation is and how it's affecting the American people. I should say that as of this afternoon, we have a new record. The United States just hit a new record. Not a good record, but a record nonetheless. Gas prices hit a record yesterday in all 50 states. All 50 states.
Simultaneously, they all hit a record. Wow.
I mean, that's good. If you were playing the lottery.
That doesn't feel good.
No. I mean, there's sometimes when you want to cheer for stuff like that, but no. It's like when a hurricane gets upgraded to like a category 5. It goes from like a 4 to a 5. You're like, hey, congratulations. You just got upgraded.
You don't.
But it's not a good thing.
Congratulate for that.
Right. It's not a good thing. Just like all 50 states hitting a record of gas prices over $8 in some cities.
Woof.
Let us know in the chat, what is the gas price where you are? Philip, you're out in Washington, right? Washington State. And what did you see today when you were driving to the Dutch Brothers?
It was at almost $6. I think I filled up yesterday, and it was about $6.
Holy shit.
Oh my goodness.
So here's how ABC News summed up this new record prices last night on ABC News. Take a look.
Prices right here at this gas station jumping a whopping 40 cents overnight to $5.95 a gallon. The pain at the pump is being felt across the country. The national average right now, a record high $4.91 a gallon. 13 states now with average gas prices above $5. Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana seeing the biggest week-to-week increases, jumping 45 cents in just the last week. Now, at this rate, the average household will spend $450 more this year on gas than last year.
$450 more this year than last year, just on gas alone.
But you also have to think about small businesses and how much this is going to hurt them.
Right.
My father, he has a landscaping company with about 20 trucks that go out every day, about 100 people. And those gas prices just crush him, and he's in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh my God.
And
what does he say? What does he say about the gas?
I have not, I'm afraid to bring it up because it's such a, and so growing up in a family like this was something we always spoke about. When gas prices were up, he was like, the fleets are so expensive, right?
So you know what happens here? We went through this in the pandemic, right? So the little guy gets crushed, right?
Yeah.
The small business owner that has 20 trucks gets crushed. But the large multinational corporations absorb it. And just like we talked about at the World Economic Forum and so forth, these guys do well because they can absorb it and they crush the competition.
Yes.
That's what lockdowns did. It crushed the competition. So again, do you see any big push from your federal government to fix this? No. But yesterday, maybe we got a glimmer of hope, because don't worry, the Democrats are in charge of your government right now and they have a plan. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen was lightly grilled, maybe poached, about inflation yesterday and gas prices on Capitol Hill. Here is her plan to lower these record high gas prices.
With respect to energy, the administration has done everything that they can to bring down energy costs, for example, through an historic release of 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and energy prices, gas prices, while very high, have risen a lot. They would be higher without that. But Putin's war in Ukraine is having impacts on energy and food prices globally.
Okay. So
even she does not look comfortable.
She doesn't look like she believes that at all.
No. It seems like she's been told that she has to say it.
Like, we have to button it up with Putin's price hike.
Like,
don't forget to work in that little Putin's price hike thing at the end, if you got to squeeze that in at the end. So we've done all we can. So we're out of options from the Biden administration. But hey, let's turn to Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondos. Let's see if Gina has anything that will actually help us. Here she is on CNN talking with Kate Baldwin about how the Biden administration plans to handle these crippling gas prices.
What is actually still on the table, though, to bring gas prices down at this point? Because the president has said and made very clear that there's not much left that he can do.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me. Unfortunately, that is the brutal reality. This is in large part caused by Putin's aggression. Since Putin moved troops to the border of Ukraine, gas prices have gone up over $1.40 a gallon. And the president is asking for Congress and others for potential ideas. But as you say, the reality is that there isn't very much more to be done.
So we don't have a freaking clue what to do. Like, we're out of options. We're asking Congress, hey, do you guys have any ideas? Because we don't have any more. We don't have any ideas. And when Putin moved his troops along the Ukrainian border, we saw gas prices spike. That's horseshit. Gas prices were already going up. And as you know, this has nothing to do with Putin. By the way, so now you have an option. You do have one more option, which is to stop all of these ridiculous sanctions, right? There's a direct line between these sanctions and,
yes.
and American suffering.
Yes.
So when you say there's nothing more you can do, there's absolutely something you can do.
Well, we saw with the pandemic what they want to do, right? Who they want to help. There are plenty of things they could do, specifically, like I said, for small businesses. Or other, there are tax credits that you can offer. There are.
Where are they going to get the money? They've sent I know, I'm joking, but like $40 billion that you just sent to Ukraine. What if there was like some sort of a lever to help small businesses during this?
There are so many things that you could offer for incentivizing. In fact, my sister just rings in on what my dad is doing because she says now we have over 100 vehicles now in the fleet. So wow. Way to catch up, Natalie. I said 20. Plus so he has a big tub grinder, which you take, forestry that's been removed, green waste, and turn it into mulch. And that burns 35 gallons of gas an hour.
Holy smokes.
Plus heavy equipment loaders. So he's making everyone carpool to job sites. Now, they're just having to make all of these adjustments because otherwise there's no business without it, right? So there are plenty of things the government can do to incentivize that or to help small businesses. They have no appetite for it.
No.
In fact, we're going to talk about later, they're talking about, instead we will invest more in green technology. But that leaves behind all manner of people who don't have that in their business plan right now.
Right. Well, Democrats, of course, want to blame the minority party, Republicans, for inflation with ridiculous excuses. So they keep saying, you guys are stopping everything we're trying to do. Here's what Brian Tyler Cohen had to say about it. And this has been all over Twitter, shared quote from Brian Tyler Cohen, who I like. I think he's a funny guy. But this is a quote. Yes, inflation is high. That's why Democrats proposed measures to cut costs like capping insulin prices and suspending the gas tax and all of the elements of Build Back Better, from childcare to lower drug prices. Republicans blocked all of it. They wail about problems and offer zero solutions. That's what Brian Tyler Cohen says. Now, this has been shared.
Okay, but wait.
Hold on. Let me just say that's been shared by Democrats all over Twitter all afternoon on this. Like, that's their, okay.
But the insulin price piece of it does not actually have anything to do with inflation. They're only capping how much consumers might pay for it, not what insurance companies will pay for it or negotiate with the drug companies. So there still will be increasing amount of money in the economy because the price of insulin will remain. That will not bring down any money in circulation. It will just mean you have to spend less of it, right? And so when there is too much money in an economy, too many tax cuts, too much money the government gives itself, too much government spending, it means there's a ton of money out there, but not for you. Your buying power gets smaller. So this capping of insulin prices actually doesn't help anybody. It just means what you're paying out of pocket, but it still means the economy is big, right?
Yeah,
you're living in a big economy.
And this argument that they voted against, the Republicans voted against it, it's like horseshit. You had the opportunity. Bernie Sanders and the squad and these other people had the opportunity to do something about Build Back Better. You're going to punt that to Republicans? You guys are running things. But let's be honest. Both parties are total shit. Both parties are awful. That's our stance here on this show. We are independent. I haven't voted. I'm a registered independent.
We hate everybody equally.
Yeah, we hate imperialists equally. I don't care what party you're a part of. Neither of them are any good. But Democrats are running Washington right now. So I think they have the perfect plan to help you all pay less at the gas pump. This is how Democrats see the world. This is how Democrats think that you should be able to get rid of high gas prices. This is Michigan Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow. Now, I nearly spit out my Cheerios when I heard her say this. Take a listen.
I do have to say, just on the issue of gas prices, after waiting for a long time to have enough chips in this country to finally get my electric vehicle, I got it and drove it from Michigan to here this last weekend and went by every single gas station, and didn't matter how high it was. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity for us to move to vehicles that aren't going to be dependent on the whims of the oil companies and the international markets.
Okay, there's not a zero cost to electric vehicles, first of all. Right. That money has to come, that
the
charge has to come from somewhere.
The average price for an electric vehicle is $56,000. So
okay.
Good for her.
Yes. She said she saved enough chips. Also, you don't eat Cheerios.
I don't eat Cheerios. I was just trying to think of something that would look good being spit out of my mouth.
That's not it.
What would look good being spit out of my mouth?
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't want to go there.
Your whiskey. You spit out your whiskey.
I spit out my whiskey.
Sure.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you. So she was super excited. She drives past gas stations all the time. She does, and she just laughed. She's like, "Look at all those suckers out there that are having to pay such high gas prices. I don't, because I'm driving an expensive electric car. Now, I drive an electric car. I have for many, many years. I drove one of those little dingus. What was it? The Nissan Leaf.
Yes.
I drove that. I drive right now a little Mini Cooper, an electric Mini Cooper, and it was actually pretty cheap. I bought a used one, and it's actually cheaper than some of the gas cars. So that's a cheap one. I don't know what she's driving, but my point is to drive by gas stations and to look at them and laugh, basically. I just kept driving by gas stations and I just kept going, I'm so glad I don't have to stop there.
Too bad for you,
Too bad.
Suckers.
All of you suckers out there, too bad.
You know, one of the economists that I trust the most is Tom Wheelwright. He is a superstar accountant and the author of Tax-Free Wealth. And a lot of the accountants that are on his show, the Wealthability Show, continue to say that this is inflation that we have put off since 2008 because government spending went crazy during the financial crash. And we had the whack problem, which is Walmart, Amazon, China, that were keeping goods prices so low that we thought we could buy everything we wanted, right, at Michael's or Target or whatever that came from China that was artificially cheap. And now we are feeling the effects of inflation catching up to us. And it's been about 14 years in the making. It would have felt a whole lot better if it had been coming for us gradually over 14 years rather than bam. Right. And so we're being told. So all of these like perversions, market perversions that we've been holding at bay are now coming at a flood. In fact, just today, there was a story in the New York Post about a global health figure is saying that he thinks that food shortages will be just as deadly as an airborne pandemic if authorities fail to prepare.
Well, we already saw that in part with the baby food formula shortage.
Yes.
Right? Deadly, already killed, and actually because of the bacteria, it ended up actually killing some people.
Right.
But not having access to it is a whole other level of mess.
For instance, in Australia now, the price of a head of lettuce is $12.
What?
$12 for a head of lettuce.
Just a head of lettuce, not like...
Yeah.
Not somebody's head. Like an actual head of lettuce.
Yes, of lettuce is $12.
Man.
Because of, there was floods there, natural disasters. Obviously, inflation is hitting everybody.
So let's talk more about this inflation piece, because so we talked about gas prices. The real story here, though, is inflation, right? So, okay, gas prices are one thing. The real story, though, is inflation, and shit is about to hit the fan in a big, big way. Now, Peter Schiff knows the thing about shit hitting the fan, Schiff hitting the fan. He's been hitting home runs for years, predicting all kinds of cycles of collapse. I interviewed him many, many times on Fox over the years. He's gotten right more times. I mean, he's gotten things right over and over and over again. He tweeted this morning, and I want to put up his tweet here. He said, first, we were told inflation was too low. Then we were told inflation was transitory. Now we're told inflation has peaked. But high inflation just started. So why would it have already peaked? I wonder how many thought inflation peaked in 1970. We were near the trough inflation. We are near trough inflation. So what he's saying is it's about to get a whole lot worse, guys. And again, Peter Schiff has been right. He accurately called the housing bubble. He's repeatedly called, in fact, he was the one sounding the alarm bells about inflation when he was like, I don't understand this. And I remember playing the soundbite on my old show about a year and a half ago. Philip, you may even remember it on Morning Invest. I played his soundbite talking about how they don't know what they're talking about. They're lying about inflation. It's coming. It's absolutely going to be devastating. And he's right about that. So a friendly reminder about where this comes from. Two places on inflation: the uncontrollable printing of money by federal government and sanctions against Russia. So how are those sanctions exactly working out? Ukrainian President Zelensky, in an interview with the Financial Times yesterday, admits that sanctions against Russia haven't done shit. Here's Vladimir Zelensky in the Financial Times. Zelensky said that while some Western sanctions had already dealt a severe blow to the Russian economy, they have, quote, not really influenced the Russian position. Moscow was constantly finding ways to circumvent sanctions, he added. So that's a nice way of saying they haven't worked. They haven't worked at all. They really haven't done. And also, he says they've really dealt a severe blow to the Russian economy. Look at the ruble.
Some had already. And so I wonder when that happened and why they're not happening now. Right. So he's saying they're really not doing what we wanted them to do. It's acted more as like a social hand slap than an actual effect on an economy.
Caitlin Johnstone sums it up perfectly in a tweet this morning. She said this. I think we have that. Do we have Caitlin Johnstone's tweet, or did I put in there? Yeah. Prices are soaring because of an economic war the U.S. empire willfully initiated in response to a proxy war the U.S. empire deliberately provoked. And Westerners are being trained to look at their shrinking bank accounts and yell, "Damn you, Putin!" Like, that's perfectly sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you talk about the Russian ruble, right? So Zelensky's saying that the Russian economy was hurt. I don't know about that at all, because the Russian ruble is at an all-time high. Russia's new oil profits are at a record today. And today's crude prices chart. Look at this from Wyatt Reed. He tweeted this earlier. The price of crude oil just hit its highest point since the summer of 2008, as anti-Russia sanctions continue to backfire spectacularly. The Russian government is set to earn an unprecedented $300,000 plus, $300+ billion from oil and gas exports this year. And the West only has itself to blame. We have estimates from some economists that oil could hit $300 a barrel. $300 a barrel.
And this chat that we see right now from disagree, it's okay, says, not damn you, Putin, damn you, capitalism. But this is not capitalism at play. None of this are free markets. None of it, right?
It's all manipulated markets.
In a capitalist market, it should be free market. This is chock full of perversion.
And fraud and corruption.
They're all perverts.
Right there.
Everybody who is involved in decision making is perverting the free market economy, and then we are all hurting as a result.
Right. I mean, just look back to the story we did earlier from NBC News, where we talked about Goldman Sachs. Right. So you and I can't have access to invest in Russian bonds, et cetera, but Goldman Sachs can do it. It's a perversion of capitalist markets. So it's not an actual capitalist market where we're on a level playing field and we have the opportunity to grow and excel. No, it's being perverted because those in Washington keep certain people down and they elevate other people. That's exactly how it does. So $300 a barrel for oil. Think about that. We're at like 150 right now.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed. But don't worry, the White House press spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre, knows just how historic this is. This is Jean-Pierre. Take a listen.
What we have seen is historic numbers. We are in a historic place in history, historic place right now, as we look at where we are with the economy. Very, very different than where we were a year ago, and that is because of what the president has been able to do with a comprehensive plan to get people vaccinated, with a plan to get people back to work.
Okay.
What the hell are you talking about? This is history, guys. She's like, well, we're in a historic moment. Do you feel good about yourself right now? This is historic. We're back to work. We're in worse shape than we've ever been. So Peter Ducey followed up that question on history to Jean-Pierre with further explanation about, yes, so you're talking about we're in this historic moment right now, but how does that, explain that a little bit more? Take a listen.
But to the point about, you're saying that people feel good about their personal financial situation. High gas prices, people can't get baby formula, the supply chain is messed up, everything is more expensive. Where's the good part?
So the survey that I just read off started in 2013, and that is the first time that we saw numbers like this since 2013. So that does mean something. Just like you gave me 83%.
I understand that.
I'm giving you
newer than 2013. 61% are saying now in this Wall Street Journal poll they are generally pessimistic about people having an opportunity to achieve the American dream. How's that going to look on a bumper sticker?
I guess what I'm trying to say, Peter, is that we understand that people are feeling this. They are feeling the increase of prices, which with food in particular right now and gas. That is something that we understand.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're trying to understand. We're trying to get to the heart of all of this. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, at least there's empathy there. I
guess. So what is Janet Yellen's strategy to combat inflation? I mean, she was grilled on this question. And when I say grilled, she really wasn't, because it was like a love fest for her yesterday. Imagine if it was the other way around, if this was a Republican Treasury Secretary. It would have been totally different, right? But it wasn't. It was just a love fest. So what is Janet Yellen's plan to combat inflation? She gave it to us. Take a listen.
There's no question that we have huge inflation pressures, that inflation is really our top economic problem at this point, and that it's critical that we address it. So I do expect inflation to remain high, although I very much hope that it will be coming down now.
Okay, thank you. So it's hope. She's going to hope that it comes down. And she was the one who told us before that she thought it would be transitory and that it wouldn't happen, that she didn't see it happening, and that if it did happen, it would be transitory. Those were her words. And she told us last week that she was sorry she got it wrong. She was totally wrong on inflation. And now her answer is, I hope. I hope. Here's one thing you could do. Stop printing money. Stop propping up Wall Street. Stop funneling money to Wall Street. Stop buying up all of these corporate junk bonds. Stop artificially inflating the stock market. Stop keeping interest rates so low that it literally drove like a crazy housing boom that didn't need to exist in the way that it did. So there are a few things you could have done and you could do. Maybe stop printing money and sending it all of it to Ukraine is one way you could do it.
Yeah, all of those things, all of the above. You nailed it.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website, to stay connected with you for free.
That's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.